All right, welcome. Today, we are going to put your grammar skills to the ultimate test with what we're calling the adjective and adverb gauntlet.
Okay, let's just dive right in with a classic. He speaks quick. Is that sentence right or wrong? Have a think about it for a second. We're actually going to circle back to this one at the very end, so just put a pin in that one for now.
So, here's our roadmap for today's challenge. We'll start with the basics, then we'll move into a few rounds of some seriously tricky questions, and we'll finish up with a look at how the rules are actually changing today. Ready?
Okay, first things first, let's get you armed with the one fundamental piece of knowledge you need to get through this. You know, what is the core difference between these two types of words?
So what it really boils down to is this. Adjectives describe things, nouns, pronouns, like the hot plate. But adverbs, they describe actions or how things are done, like walking slowly. Keep that one difference in your back pocket. It's going to be crucial.
Now this is where things start to get a little tricky. You see, some verbs don't describe actions at all. They're called linking verbs, and they have a special rule that honestly trips a lot of people up.
Basically, these verbs act like a giant equal sign in the middle of a sentence. So in he seems tired, the word seems isn't an action. It's just linking he to the description tired. Think of it as he equals tired.
And this right here, this is your secret weapon, the be replacement test. It's a super simple three-step trick that can clear up a ton of confusion. So let's try it out in our first real quiz round.
All right, here we go. The soup smells good or well? Go ahead and use the test. Swap out smells for the word is. Which one makes sense? I'll give you a second.
If you said good, you nailed it. And this is a perfect example of how that test works. The soup is good sounds totally normal, right? But the soup is well, that sounds a little weird, unless you're asking about the soup's health.
Let's try another one. You look beautiful or beautifully? Ask yourself, are we describing the person or are we describing the action of looking? Exactly. You wouldn't say you are beautifully. The verb look is just linking the subject, you, to the description, beautiful. You're 2 for 2, right?
Okay, let's level up. Welcome to the next round, where the rules get, well, a little weird. Not all adverbs end in ly. Some words can be both an adjective and an adverb, and some look similar but mean completely different things.
This one trips up so many people. She did the work good or she did the work well? Which is it? Here's the deal. Good is the adjective. Well is the adverb. So the work itself could have been good work, but she did the work well. See that distinction? It's subtle, but it's key.
Okay, be really careful here. These two words look almost the same, but their meanings are worlds apart. Which one do you need?
Yeah, picking hardly would completely flip the meaning of the sentence on its head. It would mean she's barely studying at all. This is a perfect example of how one little word choice can change everything.
And here's another one of those tricky pairs. Is the sentence about being on time, or is it about something that's been happening recently? That's right. You know, think of it this way. Late refers to a specific point in time, like an alarm clock ringing. Lately, on the other hand, refers to a whole period of time, kind of like looking back over the last few weeks on a calendar. So lately is the one we want here. All right, time for a quick-fire round on comparisons. When we compare two actions, our grammar has to be on point. Let's see how you do with this one.
So this sentence, she sings more goodly. It probably sounds a bit off to you, right? That's your brain telling you something's not quite right. Goodly isn't really a word we use like this. So what should it be?
Of course, she sings better. The adverb is well, and its comparative form is better, and the superlative is best. Remembering this is a huge deal, especially if you're doing any formal writing or taking exams like the IELTS.
So we've battled through the traditional rules. But, language isn't some dusty old thing in a museum. It's alive, it's always evolving. So welcome to our final round, where we look at how the rules are starting to bend.
And this is where things get really fascinating. The formal rules that we learn in grammar books, they're not always what you hear in everyday conversation.
Which brings us all the way back to our very first question. He speaks quick. Is it wrong? Well, technically, the traditional formal answer is quickly. But will you hear people say quick all the time in conversation? Absolutely. So what's the takeaway? Context is king. Knowing the rule lets you choose the right word for the right audience, whether you're writing a term paper or just chatting with a friend.
And that brings our gauntlet to a close. Language isn't static. It's shaped every single day by the people who use it. So I'll leave you with a final thought to chew on. What other grammar rules do you notice bending or even breaking out there in the real world?